So I'm Matthew Taylor, I'm Chief Executive of the RSA, and I've just made the opening speech at today's conference. What I argued was that within organisations there are fundamentally three forms of power which we can use to achieve the changes that we want to achieve. We wouldn't work in charities if we didn't want to achieve change in society. And those three forms of power are hierarchical authority, which comes from leaders and strategy and planning, individual ambition and striving, initiative, and solidarity, shared values, things that we do because we believe in things, because we're part, as it were, of a tribe. And my argument is that at a time like this, when many organisations have fewer resources, we face bigger needs, we have got to fully express all the power which exists within our organisations. And my argument was that finance, generally speaking, is seen as part of the hierarchy. It's seen as it's seen as a form of control. It's there really to strengthen the hand of leaders. We're not very good in charities about thinking about how finance might increase initiative and innovation, that individualism piece. And if we talk about solidarity, I guess what we mean is, well, we should try to have budgets which are fair, we should pay people fairly, we should be transparent. What I argued was that perhaps we could be more ambitious than that the way we could think about finance in organisations was that firstly, when it comes to hierarchy, the big question is to what extent is the way that we spend money, bring money into our organisation, does that serve our mission, our purpose? Is it aligned? And I still think it's the case in many organisations that budgets are to do with how they've always been or to do with control. And what we should be doing in the finance function is encouraging leaders and trustees and others to say, if we have a model of change, if this is the stuff that makes change happen, how aligned are our budgets with that? And if we have a mission for where this organisation needs to be in the next 5 years, how are we going to make sure that the money coming into and going out of this organisation furthers that mission? So the hierarchical challenge is to put money at the heart of a big strategic conversation about how the organisation can focus on where it can make the most impact. In relation to individualism, I think one of the things that happens in organisations when they face austerity is that we hunker down. We only spend money on the core things, and I think that's a mistake. I think what we have to do is to make sure there is some money within our organisations which is there for people to innovate, for people to take initiative, to do different things, to inspire people in our organisations to take a risk. And so we have to try and protect those bits of the budget, in fact even expand those bits of the budget which are about individuals within our organisations having the freedom to think about doing things differently. And then thirdly, in terms of solidarity, I don't think we should be satisfied just with showing that our budgets are fair and transparent. I think that if you can really engage staff in understanding the money within an organisation, it's a really important form of empowerment. I think if you go to a lot of organisations, people will say, well, I don't really take much interest in the budget, I've got to fill in a form, it gets published every year. If you work in an organisation, you don't understand how the money works, you're not truly empowered in that organisation. And I think by getting people to really understand budgets, we can also encourage them to take responsibility, to understand how their behaviours, the way in which they save money, the way in which they use money, enables that organisation to achieve its objectives. So that actually spending money wisely becomes part of how we express our values, not merely the way in which we obey the bureaucracy. So that was my challenge today, and I concluded by this, by saying that actually these forces, hierarchical control and individual aspiration and solidarity, they're sources of power, but also they're always kind of in conflict. They're always fighting each other a bit. You know, people who are risk takers get a bit bored with people in authority. People in authority are a bit worried about the staff getting together and challenging them. But that's a good thing. I think as heads of finance, the goal is not to say, in these difficult times, how do we maximise control? I think the goal is to say, look, the world is a messy place, and how is it that we can use the finance function within organisations to thrive in that messiness and to release as much of the power which exists within our organisations to achieve change as possible.